The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi there, morning everybody. So yes, so for all those in the session, this webinar aims to cover off four main ways to reduce bottlenecks in your AP process. So I aim to give you some ideas of how to reduce or completely potentially eliminate these bottlenecks. Our ambition is to help scale your existing AP process automation, or your APIA, and allow for higher volumes of invoices. So interestingly, I've spoken to a few people, a few organizations across the UK who are keen to discuss ways of helping them leverage their document standards, whether that's Edifact, whether that's GS1, X12, or indeed XML. Those terms might not be familiar with yourselves, but essentially our SaaS technologies helps fix these bottlenecks using that technology. So we aim to help use this session as an opportunity to help educate others who also might be interested in leveraging their existing investments, maybe like yourself, to introduce a flexible inbound invoice workflow using our web EDI. So these types of solutions can increase even supplier engagement and potentially even customer engagement too. So that's sort of a rundown as to sort of what the session is going to cover. So please leave the questions in the chat window on, I think it's on the right-hand side or wherever it may be for yourself, and comments at the end of the session where we'll run a Q&A at the end. So let's begin. So the aim of the session is to focus on AP managers, financial controllers, and even sales directors and leads, because we recognize that most managers, especially with remote teams, have bottlenecks mounting up day after day and need to deal with them, right? So we are focusing on allowing yourselves to prioritize accordingly into a dynamic, fast-paced environment, encouraging full ownership to be managed and maintained by your own purchase ledgers from beginning to end, ensuring that your financial controls, policies, procedures are adhered to anytime and anywhere. So we aim to help focus more on your strong reconciliation and problem-solving skills and leveraging it via technology. So let's take a step back. So why do we want to reduce an AP bottleneck, or what are the key ways of dealing with that? So a lot of these problems have come, or problems or challenges, whatever you want to call them, have come from a sort of a growth mindset. So the growth mindset individuals, that means sort of finance teams that are focused on becoming more profit centers, would embrace this type of opportunity, right? They'll be, they're encouraging their executive team because they want to help. The executive team want to help them. Why? Because it helps their cash flow and to manage their business better and deliver value into your business or into your supply chain, let's say. So not just reconciliation, but also insights into supplier trends and so on and so forth that you would see because you are closer to the coalface, as it were, than executives. So, and then there needs to be sort of a culture to reduce bottlenecks around, always be learning, always trying to find solutions. Why? To enhance, at the end of the day, we're trying to enhance your supplier engagement. So those are sort of key things that I would like to sort of remember through the session. Now, going back to those conversations that I'm having, these are the top type of questions that are popping up. They might be sort of familiar with yourselves around the volumes of invoices and whether that's something you're in control of or not in control of, leveraging new technologies that might your suppliers might not be comfortable with, or you might not even be comfortable with, and then also transforming these document formats, because everybody's aware of these challenges. Let's say where if you're a large organization, you'll have an EDI structure at the top, which in basic terms is essentially the exchange of XML documents that you might be aware of, and then lower down, with ignoring sort of the paper orientated documents that come to your organization. In the middle, let's say the digital types of documents. There's sort of the unstructured and there's the structured, right? So the unstructured are things like images. Let's say you've got an invoice that's come in, which is actually a scanned copy of the original invoice. They haven't sent the original PDF. That can cause a huge challenge in your whole process. And it's dealing with those types of things, as well as, it comes in via a PDF, but, your own organization or your own ERP business system would prefer it in XML. And it's dealing with all those transformations and turning those documents into the right format that are right for your business are sort of the common sort of questions that we get and help customers overcome. So as far as sort of common bottlenecks are concerned, right, our aim is clearly to reduce and hopefully eliminate these AP bottlenecks, right, by optimizing your DPO and making sure that you have a higher AP turnover ratio across your team to better manage your inbound invoices, right? So the most AP departments struggle when it comes to sort of manually handling high volumes of inbound invoices, especially correspondence, right, with your suppliers in a timely manner. That can be hard. So let's consider the technical flexibility of easily reconciliating on the fly can cause a problem even with remote working day, right, where teams are everywhere. And obviously, over the last 12 to 18 months, this problem has compounded, right? It's caused massive impacts across your cash flow, visibility into your supply chain, and even things like fraud, right? So that's all of a sudden sprung up as a trend in our market, right? So lately, I don't need to sort of mention things like this, but the biggest bugbear clearly in the industry is potentially dealing with missing invoices, right? That's that's sort of the elephant in the room, really, and potentially your department too struggles with this, right? So clearly, gap analysis on an AP function is critical to avoid any document interchange issues, which can cost your team time and money, right? So potential approval workflows of invoices across internal staff, especially approvals and validations, let's say, for management, can prove challenging, right? So to track down physical team members for signing documents or approving documents is hard work. And then sort of number two is making sure that the emails are exchanged correctly and that people are being chased and notified that they, as it were, being waited on. And then the biggest of the lot is tracking the approval across the whole process workflow for audit purposes, right? So making sure we're dealing with these challenges. So balancing your DPO to high levels to optimize your cash flow whilst improving your supplier engagement. So you could be missing out on these potential opportunities of your supplier trust and working closer together to create more sustainable supply chains, right? So, there's clearly new and existing staff that are even struggling with this. So when it comes to entering in this ERP data, can be sort of a big bugbear because they've got to be trained, they've got to be skilled, they've got to be highly skilled even, and this could be costly to valuable members of your staff, especially when they could be doing some sort of other high value level activities. So those are the common bottlenecks. So you may feel that your AP team or your process needs to change, having heard this. However, sort of scaling your AP process depends on your inbound invoice integration capabilities, right? So developing a seamless inbound process relies on adopting the latest technologies. And our aim is to eliminate these AP bottlenecks, as I've mentioned, and optimize your DPO and achieve a high level of AP turnover ratio for your teams to better manage your inbound invoices, right? So you can enhance the existing procurement system with the straightforward inbound invoice web EDI process that we'll sort of get into in a bit more detail. So we'd like to share a bit more about how Syntrax has helped businesses seamlessly implement an AP solution using the SaaS Gateway platform, which might not be something you're familiar with, but hopefully this is all part of the education process. So this type of interoperability between systems and exchanges proves hugely productive and cost-effective to implement in existing AP processes. So before we do, let's jump into the real problem behind your AP processes. So I've, a few months back now, I came across a TED talk presented by a lead, let's say a lead Hollywood actor, and he sort of expressed some interesting views, which I'd like to share with yourself. So, as part of this talk, he may mark the difference between somebody who just tries to get attention versus somebody who basically becomes more productive by paying attention to their skill, right? So, taking that into account from the suppliers basically wanting to get attention from their customers, to pay quicker. Now, clearly, that's going to be a massive problem for both parties to sort of align, as it were. But this could be sort of a better way of doing things, right? So if you allow their customers to pay attention, they would basically become more successful as a team moving forward. So what I mean by this is, if you're constantly trying to get the attention of your customer, that's going to be a lot of hard work, a lot of challenges. But if you're working together and allowing each other to pay attention to what's required, that's going to be hugely productive, right? So it boils down to improved communication or engagement. However, involving the AP problems relies on transparency, right? We're all aware of that, both internal and external. So what I'll do is I'll share the link to that talk to give you a bit of background as well in the follow-up content comment section. So, we've discussed this. So sort of how would you actually go about resolving these AP bottlenecks, right? So, the painful manual process of corresponding can prove challenging, right? Because you're incorporating some people, are involved with sort of manual processes. There's even the OCR element, which can be counterproductive. And then internal approvals of invoices can get you into spin, right? So, and then we go on to the difficulty even of prioritizing payment processes intelligently to raise your DPO and sort of maintain a high, or the highest level really, supplier engagement levels. And then it comes down to the last point, which is as I mentioned already, quite a large bugbear for your teams, is ERP data reconciliation, which wastes your AP members a lot of time to make sure that they've correctly filled things out, filled it in the right locations, and so on and so forth, which clearly has a huge impact on the whole process. So in principle, making a change instigates change management, as we all aware. But why? Because if done correctly, suppliers would be allowed to pay attention more or get more attention on their invoices, not constantly focusing on low value communication, meaning just trying to get your attention, right, on a daily or a weekly calls or in emails as well. So we can hopefully eradicate all of that as well. So my name is Kevin Little. I've enjoy working here at Syntrax for the last 4 years. I focus on helping businesses securely automate data and digital document process workflows. My role here at Syntrax is to transform businesses by finding the right solution that fits all the customers' needs. And I would like to build relationships first and foremost, as proof of concepts, right, and then scale them up to sort of divisional possibilities, and then move on to potential enterprise-ready solutions. So that's a bit of background about myself. Syntrax, we're an international company. Syntrax has been around for over 30 years now, with well over 3,500 customers. Our development and support teams have been spread across the globe. So Syntrax is proud to have a customer loyalty average of 12 years, which I think is absolutely unbelievable in the software industry. So Syntrax offers solutions to easily handle your ERP BPM and CRM document workflows, we can address specific needs of customizing our awesome self software, whether that's on-premise, cloud, a hybrid of SaaS architectures even, and integrate seamlessly into your existing process, no matter what your industry. So I'd like to spend a few moments drilling into the 4 AP bottlenecks. However, before I do, may I please reveal the secret step as well, right? So you probably, 4 might be a lot. I've clearly highlighted one of them, which clearly is the one case in point, where every process workflow relies heavily on internal validation, right? Whether that's to your staff members, whether that's in the office or working remotely, right? So you've got to make sure that step 2 is dealt with correctly. So what I'll do is just walk you through an AP validation process and what it would look like with your existing invoice routing. So it could be an obvious enhancement with Compleo Gateway, but please recognize the steps needed to process the invoice without considering the location, whether that's, as I've mentioned, office or remote. The workflows can be as complicated as necessary, but please be aware that throughout this process, there's sort of connections, let's say, between staff. So clearly, this is historically this is quite a challenge to move from manager to directors and get the right timings and so on and so forth, whether in the office or out the office. But our automation workflows essentially allow the supplier to interact with the portal. That portal can, the document, let's say, can be validated from the manager at that point in time. Once it's been, let's say, validated from the manager, and even potentially initially validated from the supplier. Once that process has happened, if the sign-offs and levels are necessary, it can then move into an intelligent workflow, which then allows the director to actually sign the document, whether that's digital, electronic. And we've got a few more sessions on that, which you can certainly explore on our social feeds or on our website, which is mainly about the most efficient ways of performing electronic signatures and digital signatures. And depending on your security levels, then it applies to either one, but we can discuss either one of those options. And then the crux of most of these solutions is around making sure it's either going to an invoice processing system you already have in place, or indeed integrating straight into your ERP in a timely manner and as real time as possible. So, in this workflow demonstration that I'll cover, I hope to explain a bit more about what Compleo Gateway can offer and how it can remove the AP bottlenecks that I've referenced to make sure that manual data entry is removed, the seamless API workflows are automated, so the routing is taking place, and then reduce the DPO to make sure that you can help the business manage your cash flows and then integrate seamlessly into your ERP. So please bear in mind that the demonstration I'll show you is the APIA version. Is the web portal version of the APIA. Why? Because you can't really see the API process because it's behind closed doors. So this is the easiest way to interact with the document itself and share a bit more about that. So what we have here is a schema view. So what you'll see on the right-hand side, you can see your view that consists of invoice processing and invoice integration into your ERP, leveraging several document formats that are listed on the left-hand side. So on the left-hand side, you can see the API connection, which we've highlighted, which allows your suppliers to send invoices straight into the web, the SaaS web application using Compleo Gateway technologies. And clearly in the middle, you can see Compleo Gateway web application, which allows your supplier to seamlessly upload structured invoices into your AP process using Compleo gateway, and thus removing several bottlenecks within their workplace, as well as potentially reducing the amount of fraud that's exchanged around this process. So as you can see, there are two other processes that I've highlighted here just for your sake on the bottom left-hand side, where we'll go into a bit more other sessions around web portals and folders as well. That's quite exciting work there, but each of them have their own specific requirements, and you've got to be aware of that. However, today's session, as I mentioned, will focus on the API method. So I'd like to draw your attention to the schema and the fact that we can approach the architecture from your perspective while seamlessly leveraging AP connections in your existing existing supplier environment, right? So we leverage AP calls with structured file formats, right? So the reason why is it makes it more seamless, and the invoice process can seamlessly move to your invoice process, to your invoice integration, and into your ERP, right? So interestingly, off the back of that, once that's happened, it goes back. The green arrows suggest that it goes back. The information, the status information, goes back into the supplier environment automatically, which just smooths the whole process, not just from your perspective, but also from the supplier's perspective. What we'll do is we'll cover off sort of the ERP view. So let's go through what it looks like in a practical view. So let's see the supplier and logging into their ERP to generate a structured invoice file, and the file can automatically be uploaded into Gateway. But in this, they're logging in because it's a web portal, and now you'll see the supplier can view the invoice in a human readable format. And the benefit behind that is they're now vetting their own invoices before it's gone across to your invoice process. So what you can see is the supplier is logged on and established that the PDF file and the XML file are the correct information. So they can see that if there are any discrepancies around payments and receiving and so on and so forth. So here's the customer view. So now you can see from a customer's retrieval or from a parked invoice on your ERP, that's possible, and it automatically populates the information fields across your ERP and also attaches the PDF into your ERP as well. So why have our customers chosen us? So we essentially seamlessly integrate into your existing AP process. We're not asking you to start all over again. We improve the inbound process transparency and auditability, and then both security and performance are compatible, right? So we make sure that's all secure in our SaaS environment, and then making sure that it's easy to add workflows and edit workflows as you go. So those are the four key areas. So what I basically promised for yourself today is making sure that we can work towards stepping away from these bottlenecks, making sure that your AP team is allowed to pay attention where they need it most, and then leveraging technology to help your teams better manage their workflows and their supplier engagements, as well as delivering value not just into your suppliers, but also into your own business, which then leads into the whole supplier engagement as well, so the customer engagement as well. So what I want to leave with you is sort of a win here, is to make sure you have a clear journey ahead with ourselves by leaving the land of the AP bottlenecks, and then also giving your C-level members insights, right? So by investing in yourself and your team, you can generate these insights, which we've sort of gone through, which we can also go through in a bit more detail as well, that's specific to yourself. So what I'll do is I will just check the chat window, if that's all right, because we have had a few questions that have come in. Right, okay. So let me just click here. Right, we're a bit short on time, so let's take a few questions. So first question: do you need to replace your AP system? So I've sort of touched upon that. So the AP system, if we focus on improving internal control frameworks, then you're obviously aware that the complaint gateway doesn't require any replacement, right? So hopefully that's clear. I'll certainly reply via email on that, more on that question. Second question, is it possible to distribute documents remotely without causing security issues? So reviewing and improving prepared documents can be done through Complaio or your existing AP workflows. So in answer to your question, we have the highest level of security, so it won't require or impact any level of security on your side, other than we're exchanging logins for your supplier and so on and so forth. Then the final question is, how do I manage my team if entire AP process is fully automated? Right. Okay. So as far as oversight and development of your team, it's essential to continuously develop your skills and knowledge. It's essential in today's market, right? So our aim is to help you focus on high value staff members and making sure that they can deliver as much value as possible to your organization. So yeah, so I apologize, we have run over a bit. So feel free to send me some questions if you'd like. So contact me if you would like to discuss more me as a business solution expert and explore the right solution for yourself. Obviously, following the session, we'll share all the recordings and so on and so forth. But as a gentle reminder, there's social feeds. Please do share the content and even this session with your colleagues and peers as you see fit. And then, from ourselves, we have a lot of innovation that's happening, especially around the document process automation space here at Syntrax. So we'd be happy to share a lot more information on that. So from us all here at Syntrax, I would like to thank you for joining the session. And finally, feel free to get more information on our website, reach out to me directly, and I can certainly add you to our peer-to-peer meetup group, which happens every month.